Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. I am super excited. I'm in a different place right now, as you guys can tell. I am getting ready to bring on my special guest today. Thanks, you guys, for joining in for our Global Impact Educator webinar. Today is March 1st. Isn't that crazy? I can't believe that we are in March already. And I actually just drove up to Big Bear, which is where I grew up, and I'm trying to bring my special guest on. There we go. I've got her. And just super excited to have one of my beautiful, beautiful, amazing friends in this life joining today.
I hope she's talking about me. Hi.
Talking about you. Isn't that amazing? So I'm super excited to have you here. Raina's in the background, as always, helping us out. Thank you so much, Raina. So I just did a 3.5-hour drive up to my family's cabin in Big Bear. Again, like I was saying, is where I grew up. And technology just is not as fast as I wanted it to be. I was like, okay, go faster, go faster. Anyone else feel like that? Like, it can't, technology is crazy. I'm loving your background, Stacy.
Oh, thank you. I teach baking online, and this way it looks a little more fun than looking at my boyfriend's desk.
That's
So, so this way it looks like I'm kind of in a bake shop. So if you get hungry after watching me, then I did well.
yeah. I think I always am every time I talk to you. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Sandy Herrera, and I created this conscious educator community really to bring all of us from around the world together who are educators making a global impact. And whether you recognize that you're making a global impact or not, you are, based upon how our world has shifted and we are all connected, and the kiddos that we teach on a daily basis are connected all over the world with other people. And so we're making an impact all around the world. And this pandemic has definitely, one of the I guess, blessings in disguise is that it brought us all closer together. We're all going through this together. And as educators from around the world, we are kind of doing nothing short of amazing. It's almost been 12 months and we're revolutionizing education. So this is one place where we get to come together and we get to really just connect and talk about topics that really matter and how we really take our power back and own who we show up as. And so for me, I have been on this journey of my own internal health for a long time. And so Raina, thank you so much for double checking that we are live on Facebook. Yes, I got that to work, so we're good to go. And I wanted to bring Stacy on, and I'll let her introduce herself here in a second. But just briefly, she has been just such an inspiration for me in terms of food and flavorful food. I'll talk a little bit about my journey from a health perspective in a minute, but she just really has grounded me in having it be easy and simple. And so I wanted to share, because there's so much that as educators, we're either not eating because we're running so fast, or we're eating things that actually don't make us feel good, or we're eating things just because it's what's available and it may not be, as nutritious as possible. So this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart personally, and I am grateful to be surrounded by amazing soul sisters in this life who have taught me so much. So with that, Stacy, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Will you share a little bit about kind of your world? We met so many years ago when you were an executive chef in Vegas. And so you want to kind of pick up from there? And
Sure. So I've actually kind of transitioned that into teaching, which is why I love, well, one of a million reasons why I love what Sandy does. But I actually have started a company called Feed Your Soul, because I really do feel like that is what feeds my soul, is food and the history behind it, as well as it fuels you and makes you feel good, but it also brings back a nostalgia. And I really love that about food and the history of food. I currently teach. So I teach home cooks how to cook. I teach children how to cook. I do camps and things like that. And then I also teach future culinarians. So like I teach at a culinary school for people that will go into the restaurant industry, hopefully, or just want to improve their game at home. So it's food pays my bills as well as feeds my soul, which is my ultimate life right there.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm so happy you're here. So we have a global audience, which is amazing and always warms my heart that we have educators from around the world in this group. And so if you are, whether you're watching us live on Facebook in the Conscious Educator Facebook group, or you are here with us on Zoom, if you could just let us know your name and where you're from.
I love that.
But we're going to travel together virtually.
Yes.
To each other's countries. So I see Alfredo is here. And make sure when you guys are typing in the chat that you're chatting to all panelists and attendees so that everyone can see your responses. But we have Alfredo from Mexico City. Welcome, welcome. Happy to have you here. So we're going to spend about 45 minutes together chatting about food as fuel. And it's one of the things that we teach in our Genius camps with kids. Those of you that have been with me on my webinars for a while, you've heard me talking about Genius School and the work that I've been doing with them for the past 3 or 4 years. Hi, Kristen from Vegas and Laura from Vegas, and Kelly from Vegas and Lori from Vegas. Yay. My Vegas peeps, Carla from Vegas. And so I totally lost my train of thought. I got all excited to see everyone. What are you talking about, Stacey?
You were talking about like your journey of food.
Oh my gosh. So much has been around really making sure that as we're connecting with kiddos in Genius Camp that we talk about, because we ignite the inner genius in all kiddos. It's not an IQ camp. It's not about that. It's that each of us has a unique genius. And so we teach the kiddos show up, step up, and give back. And one of the things that we do in, how they naturally show up and then step up is how they fuel their inner genius and then how they connect with other geniuses. And then give back is obviously giving back to their local communities connected to the global sustainability goals. So the reason I bring that up is because using food as fuel is something that I think we forget about when we're rushing through our days. And especially right now, and I know my Vegas friends, if you're in elementary school, today was the first day that you had some kiddos back in person in a year. And I know from around the world, we're at different phases of the pandemic and where you're at with in-person or hybrid or distance or whatever that's looking like as educators. But I wanted to really talk about how can we actually take our power back when it comes to our food choice, to be making sure that what we're fueling our genius with helps us fuel the inner genius of those that we serve and our kiddos. So you guys hear me talk all the time that my passion in life is to inspire and really help you guys as educators live your best life and in any way possible. And because I believe that is a ripple effect for all of the babies in the world. And I love educators. Y'all are amazing humans. And so to kind of go back a little bit into my own personal food journey, I struggled with cyst-like acne for a really long time. And I just figured it was hormones and just a thing, right? And it was like, no, that can't be connected to food. That can't be connected to food. There's no way. Like, it's just my skin. Maybe I just, I'm not using the right stuff on my face. And I had an anesthetician tell me at one point, and this was after I had my son, and he had reflux, and his pediatrician said, maybe stop eating dairy while you're nursing and see if his reflux goes away. And I did. And I was like, it's for my kid. Like, I'll do anything. And it was painful to stop dairy, but it was worth it. His reflux went away and I didn't have to change my clothes 3 times a day from him throwing up on me. So I had a little bit of motivation. And then I went back to eating dairy because I was done nursing and I was like, yay, I can have cheese again. And then the anesthetician said, yeah, maybe stop dairy. And I'm like, seriously, really? So I was kind of grumpy for about 3 months. It took that long for me to find replacements that satisfied my taste buds and allowed me to actually feel better. I realized how much it shifted my whole system, just stopping dairy. And so that was kind of an on my own thing. And then I went and had a food sensitivity test done about 8 years ago. Realized that I also have a gluten intolerance, and I shouldn't have eggs or peanuts or soy. And it was so these 5 things. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to eat? And I was freaking out at that point. And so I just eliminated those things and kind of just fell into a rigid rut. And I just was bored with food and I didn't have flavor. And I was like, well, I can have hummus, I can have avocados, I can have salsa. Those are fabulous things, but I was bored. And then I got to meet Stacy and started learning all these different ways. I have to share something, and so you can share this little fun recipe. So we have, I think you know where I'm going to go. We have a girls' trip every summer where we spend a few days at the beach together. And Stacy's always like, I'm so sad you can't have this fabulous dessert that I made for everyone else. And I'm like, that's fine, not a big deal. And she's like, wait, I've got you. And so we were making s'mores, and s'mores would be okay with dark chocolate, it would be okay, she's like, no, I'm doing it better. I still to this day don't know what you did, but whatever you did, I still dream about this.
Well, we'll have to go to the beach again and have it. We made a ganache, and we used coconut cream and coconut oil because you could have coconut and you could have dark chocolate. So, and I love that they're replacing things that satisfy you, because that's part of your soul. That you're fueling your soul, you're fueling your body, you're fueling your happiness, and being able to find those replacements is super important. And I have clients just for that reason. So that's I love that. I love that story. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's so like, and so that inspiration that you've given me is like, no, you just have to seek, right? You just have to seek the things that fuel your body in a way that serves you. And so this past December, I went and had the food sensitivity test done again. And she's like, yeah, and here's this comprehensive report and all the things that you should not be eating right now until we actually repair the lining of your gut. And I was like, okay, I don't know if I like the way that sounds. So when we talk about your gut, and I don't even really like that word, gut health, right? Your stomach, the lining of your belly, is, she said, think about it like if you get an abrasion on your skin and you keep pouring salt on it or you keep scratching at it. If you are eating things that don't agree with the lining of your stomach, and everyone's unique, and you keep eating that, you keep scratching at what is irritated. And I was like, oh, well, that's kind of a cool visual for me to stop eating things that irritate my stomach. So that alone helped me, right? Was to go, okay, I won't do those things because I picture it. I'm like, oh, don't hurt my belly. And so this time I actually took it more seriously and went, okay, what can I eat? Because I'm grateful to have had Stacy in my life and Melissa, our other soul sister, who are all about well-being when it comes to understanding how much what we put in our gas tank, right, in our belly, impacts our energy, our happiness, our skin, our muscles, our like everything. And so instead of just eliminating this time, I pivoted my diet. So it wasn't for me just about like, let me take all the things away and just be sad, because that's what I did before. Let me actually find a way to eat healthy. And so with having Stacy help me in learning like how to replace things and go, oh, that actually works for your belly. That works for your belly. And I have so much more energy now. I am sleeping amazing. I'm like my skin is better than it's ever been. And it's not hard work. It's like I pick a handful of things, of recipes I want to try for the month, and then I try it and I go, we'll see. And so I took the pressure off. So Stacey, when you work with clients, when you actually are teaching even your students, about food and fuel and how it impacts them, and the work that you do when you're actually preparing meals and teaching people how to cook. What are some of the core elements that really go into how you're teaching them to fish versus having to just do it for them?
It's usually starting with what they really love. So things that they might be missing right now because of restrictions, or things that they, I usually ask them, when you go to a restaurant, what do you order? Kind of starting with that, of the things that they really enjoy, and building on that. We are lucky that there are so many resources nowadays, huge amount of resources nowadays. So if you're gluten intolerant or dairy intolerant, or, I can't have eggs or any of those things, there's a lot of resources out there for you. And it's just kind of guiding to find that ultimate meal that you really, really enjoy, and turning that into something that you can enjoy and feel good about eating. And it's not a cheat or anything like that, or you won't have a reaction. So usually starting with that comfort food, those things that really speak home to you, and then creating something from that. Also, like different types of foods that you like. So if you really like fish, or if you really like chicken or something like that, but you're not sure how to prepare it, that's my next step, is teaching the techniques of how to prepare a fish or how to prepare a chicken, so that it resembles what you like to order at a restaurant. So you're able to do it at home. So I usually start with, what do you like?
Great, great. So
Yeah.
let's have you guys chime in the chat. What is it that you like? What
Yeah.
are your go-to comfort foods? Like, what are those things where you're like, oh, that just like, that's my go-to at the end of the day. So type in the chat, whether you're on
Pizza.
pizza.
Yeah, I love that. Eggplant. Oh, eggplant lasagna. Nice. So are these things that, so probably my next step would be, so pizza, you really, really like pizza. Do you have dietary restrictions with pizza? Are you trying to eat a low carb pizza? Or are you trying to eat a gluten-free pizza? Or you want to learn how to make your own pizza dough? Gluten-free, okay. There's
Yeah.
so many things now. I mean, Trader Joe's alone, you can just walk into one. Salty foods, okay. So usually just kind of starting with that, and knowing that that's something that you really, really like, or you want to explore more. And you can find there's so many, like you can still make your own pizza dough at home, and keep it gluten-free, just by using, my favorite is, that we have here in the States, would be King Arthur's Cup for Cup, so that you can use that and create a recipe, and it usually does pretty well. You can also buy frozen substitutes of cauliflower or gluten-free doughs. My follow-up question would be, do you like to spend time in the kitchen? Not everybody does. Do you want to be able to go in and just grab something, or do you like to actually make something? And it's okay that and don't feel guilty if you don't like to spend time in the kitchen. That gives me a job, so it's, do you like things to be a little bit more convenient for you, or do you like to take the time and actually spend some time in your kitchen?
Yeah.
Quickies and meals. Yeah.
Yeah. And so one of the things too about pizza is I think it was Melissa that gave me a recipe, and it was a brown rice tortilla
Nice.
that I actually found at Trader Joe's. And I actually put whatever kind of sauce I wanted on it. I started, messing with it, but it started with pesto. And so I was able to find at Trader Joe's a dairy-free pesto, which was fascinating because I searched forever in regular grocery stores, but I finally found it at Trader Joe's. And then was able to use that. And then this was pre my last food sensitivity. I could put goat cheese on, but now I just use the mozzarella vegan cheese that's made from plants. So that was easy for me, is I can just throw things on the brown rice tortilla and put it in my toaster oven, and it's done in 10 minutes. And you can throw on whatever you want. So yeah, I love seeing these comments about
Yeah, I do too.
about not liking to cook. And so then what, right?
Yeah, and the first step is, don't feel guilty about that. A lot of people tend to. A lot of people are like, oh, I feel like I'm not making food for my kids. it gives me a job. There's somebody out there that does like to do it. I do. We go to these, vacations, and I spend a lot of the time in the kitchen, and everybody's like, oh, you don't have to, but that is my happy place. So yes, I do have to. It's what makes me happy. And then finding those little things that you're able to get those flavors that you like, in the convenience that you're able to. There's so, like I said, there's so much out there. You can get pre-frozen cauliflower, dough that you can put your favorite toppings on as well. Pesto is super easy to make on your own. I usually will also, on a busy week, because I do cook for a lot of other people, on a busy week, I'll do something that I call meal prep, which is become quite a popular term, where you kind of put everything together for the week, and that way you can kind of just grab and go when you have a busy lifestyle. So if that's something that you're willing to dedicate to, there are private chefs in your area. Guaranteed, there is a private chef in your area that can also put those things together for you to your dietary restrictions. So that's always an option too.
It's not that expensive. I think that
It's not.
there's so much. It's where do you want to invest your money, and what you value, you invest in. So health is one of my top 3 core values. And so how am I living in alignment with that value of health? And where I spend my money is in alignment with my values. So getting clear about your values, and if you value your health and that's a priority for you when it comes to food, just like if certain exercise or certain hobbies are important to you, you'll invest money in those. Some people love games, so they'll invest money in games, or they'll invest money in different streaming devices because they like watching TV. So wherever you're going to invest your money, make sure it's in alignment with your values. Because if eating paleo, eating, whatever it is, vegan, whatever it is, you're going to invest money. And so being able to balance, if we're not eating out as much right now and we're cooking at home, but cooking at home feels like hard work, like even for me, like it feels like hard work. So I ask Stacey for simple things like, teach me. She's like, oh, it's easy to make pesto. And I'm like, okay, you already hurt my face saying it's easy to make pesto. It sounds like
it's cost versus worth for sure. Yeah.
And so, but once you do something once, it's easy. It's the unknown. We talked about that last week or 2 weeks ago, that unknown and uncertain. As with anything that you haven't done before, it becomes easier after you do it. And so when we look at all those limiting beliefs and those challenges that come into our minds of, oh, I don't have enough time. Oh, I don't like the kitchen, or that's okay. There's solutions. And so, Stacey, will you talk a little bit about your cooking classes? Because you can connect with all of us all over the world. And this is like one of my favorite things that you do, is that you're actually able to do these virtual
classes.
Chef demo, really, because it's so much more than that, right?
We do them together. And I'm going to put both of them together with something you just talked about too, was one of the last classes that I did was all about, we were doing kind of a sugar-free kind of class. And I found that giving the permission to use prepared items was such a relief for so many students. So kind of backing up a little bit with what you're talking about, there are things that are prepared. So there's a full-on pizza that's prepared, or there's a crust that's prepared, or there's onions that are already chopped for you. So depending on your level of, what you're wanting to purchase, you can have salsa already made, or pesto already made, or you can get the onions that are already chopped for you and put it together yourself. So there's always something. It's called ready to eat. And it is a huge part of the culinary industry that has just taken off and boomed. And it's not going to slow down. So there's always something to make your life a little bit easier for you, especially if you don't like to spend all the time in there, but yet you can still have that homemade experience if you wanted it. With the cooking classes, I kind of either go by either a technique or a theme. So it could be like Italian dinners. So we could do your pizza or your eggplant parmesan and learn how to make it. Or we can go more of a technique of how to grill chicken in order to put it alongside, on top of your pizza with your pesto and your dairy-free mozzarella or whatever it is. So it could be more technique driven or more food driven. And it just really kind of depends on what the customers are wanting to learn. We had just such a great time just doing low sugar and giving them, it was easier options, but it was all coming from their kitchen as opposed to buying out. So it kind of started with coming with their kitchen and then integrating what you could have, because there's so much sugar in everything that we started with eating at home, but still trying to make it easy for you kind of thing. So it's nice.
That's so great. I think that there's so many facets to food, right?
Mhm.
And if we don't slow down to figure it out, it's going to manifest as bigger problems later in one way,
Absolutely.
shape, or form, right?
Mhm.
Whether that's some form of disease that's caused by what you're putting in your belly, whether that's not fitting into the jeans that you want to fit into, or like for me, not fitting into my slacks. I tried on some slacks the other day and I was like, I don't fit anymore. That's wrong. And so it's like, it's been a year since I wore slacks and I put them on and I was like, no, it happened. So I'm working on it. I'm doing it in a way this time where it's not about weight loss for me. It's about, and Cindy, I love your comment on this, about understanding what bothers your gut, right? Because if you're constantly having upset tummy in any way, right? If that manifests in lots of different ways, and we don't need to discuss all of them. You all know what they are or what they are for you specifically. But once you start noticing that, start really looking at, what did you just eat?
Mhm.
What was that? What were those ingredients? And pick one. If you don't want to go and get the food sensitivity test done, for me, it was a blood draw and my doctor ordered it. And I think there's ones that you can order now online too, and they send you a kit, and there's things to do. But you can also just start noticing. And for me, I keep joking, like I'm just one big science experiment right now, just trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work for me. But I'm making it playful. I'm not taking out a bat and going, I'm bad or I'm wrong. I'm going, you know what? I'm going to play a game. I'm going to play a game and I'm going to have fun with it. And I'm going to learn new things.
Mhm.
Being educators, our core value is learning, growth and learning. Whether we want to pay attention to that as a core value or not, it's kind of there. And so we're lifelong learners. So as lifelong learners, like, make it a journey, make it one small little thing each day where you're like, I'm going to do this today and I'm going to commit to this one thing, and then stick to it for 6 weeks, 9 weeks, 3 months. You'll realize how quickly you actually replace it. I know I saw someone post that they were craving salty foods. Sometimes that can be a result of a deficiency in something, right?
Mhm.
I don't know what it is. Do you know, Stacy?
It can be a couple of different things. It really can. It can be anything from iron levels to it really can be different things. It could also be, maybe it's something that you're depriving of yourself also. So there's a lot of different things in there, but cravings usually tell you something, absolutely. And sometimes you're craving things because like sugar, like if you're craving sugar, it's probably because you're having too much sugar and that is the result of it. So it can be a couple of different things, but sometimes iron deficiency. Mhm.
And so we know that if we're not fueling our genius, that we're not able to show up with the energy, the patience, the joy, right? The happiness that we want to feel in order to show up as our best selves for our kiddos. So I talk a lot about school culture is the collective capacity of who everyone shows up as. And if you're trying to show up as your best self and you just feel like you just keep getting knocked down, aside from external pandemic circumstances, right? that you're just missing this mojo, right? It's just like, like I want to be happy, like, and you're just feeling it. Really look at your gut health. Connect with, someone like Stacy, and I want to talk a little bit more about the different programs that she has, that are super inexpensive ways to really connect, to be able to look at how can I fuel my stomach, my gas tank, in a way that actually serves my energy, my skin, my muscles, my, like, how I feel on a daily basis, so I can show up as the best version of me for those that I serve. So when we look at that, what is, Stacey, when you think about, let's just dive into it, the epic gut cleanse that you
Yeah.
are doing that
So
starts next.
that it's a reset. So a lot of the things that you were talking about with the scratching of you keep scratching the same thing. Epic Love is, and I get to partner with that, which is amazing, is resetting your gut. And it's called Epic Gut, and it's 21 days. It's $55, and it teaches you how to. You're basically spending 3 weeks resetting your system, and then able to find out how different foods are affecting it, which is pretty amazing. And you get cooking classes and recipes and such like that. So the cooking classes is myself. I teach you how to make a lot of different things, which is super fun. And then you get one-on-one calls with Melissa from Epic Love. So it's a great way to kind of reset what might be going on there. So it's 2 smoothies and a meal. So it's definitely a commitment, right over safety, as well as your health should be. So it's having 2 smoothies a day and a meal, and then I believe you're getting a snack as well. But it's keeping within a certain kind of foods that you can do in order to reset your gut.
And that reset, I've done at least once a year for the last couple of years. Melissa actually does it twice a year.
She does.
Because it's kind of a rock star like that.
She is.
What I love about that program is that the two of you have made it so easy to, for example, Cindy, you talking about figuring out what's bothering your gut, to give yourself a reset for, I don't even know how you guys do that for only $55 for this program. The amount of wisdom that's in this program and how easy it is to follow for 21 days. It just, there's supplements that actually help you reset your gut while you are on a very specific diet of the 2 smoothies. But how many different smoothie recipes are in there?
I think the videos alone, I believe I did 21 of them, showing you how to do that, and there were so many more. And they're actually really, really good. And that's coming from a food person, where if it's not good, I'm not going to do it. But they're really, really yummy. And they're definitely filling. So in my videos that I teach you how to make them, it's kind of fun because Melissa tells you the nutritional content behind them and why they're yummy for your body, but I tell you why they're yummy for your taste buds. So it's kind of a fun combination. But there's tons, probably at least 40. You could go with not having the same smoothie every day, but you'll find ones that you really, really like and just keep doing them. That's what I found. And
the wildest thing is, within less than a week, you don't have the cravings. Like, why am I not eating like this all the time?
Yeah. The first 3 days, I have to tell you, you're like, what? I need caffeine. But after that, it's very nice and actually a little freeing.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that freedom piece.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard that from other people too. Will you talk about what that's like?
So especially with either like sugar or caffeine, I find that people need to have, I need to have my coffee in the morning. I need to have dessert at night. I need, and the freeing part would be the choice of it. I don't have to have I have the energy. I don't have to have coffee in the morning. But after the cleanse, if you decide to, it's more of a choice, and there's a freedom there, because I'm not being controlled by the food that I consume. I'm deciding what I'd like to have.
Yeah. And talk about an amazing freedom. When we talk about taking our power back
Mm-hmm.
in a global climate right now, that is one of no choice, right? Like there's so many things outside of our control and so many things that are at us. And to be able to take our power back and go, no, no, what I put in my body and how I feel my body is my choice. And to be able to do it where you're not beholden to some substance that has just become a habit, or a caffeine addiction.
Yes, I saw the coffee in capital letters.
Yeah. He's like, don't take my coffee. You can have herbal teas on the
Mm-hmm.
cleanse.
You also find that you start having so much energy. It's wild. So you're having so much energy that you're not needing the coffee. When you come back to it, if you do decide, it's more of, I really enjoy that. For me, I enjoy that time in the morning. I have my warm beverage. I am, writing out my list of things I have to do this day. That's kind of my time. So I substitute that with a tea when I'm on the cleanse. Exactly. So I'll do so I still have that warm beverage and things, but you find that you don't need the energy boost. You don't need the energy boost at 4 for something like a sugary snack, because you're actually using, spinach and kale and all of these things that you've thrown into these smoothies to fuel your body, instead of the substitutes that we depend on
Yeah,
or
that's
come to rely on. Yeah.
so powerful. And it's, you have to feel it to believe it. It's like one of those things, you have to see it to believe it. This one, you
Yeah.
have to feel it to believe it. And what's the cost for not, right?
Yeah.
if if we were to like chime in the chat, what is the cost for not making your health a priority in your life, whether it's one of your top core values or not? What's the cost for not trying to find exactly what fuels your body with natural healthy foods in order to make sure that you're fueling your genius, so you can fuel the inner genius of all the students that you connect with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you first, the very first cleanse you did, Stacey, will you talk about like what made you do it? What was that first where you were like, okay, I have to do it?
Well, if I was going to teach it, I needed to do it. So for me, so that I could actually sit in front of you and say, okay, the first 3 days, trust me, it's rough. But then the fourth day is beautiful, and you're like, what is happening? So that if I'm able to make your food for you, I need to also kind of understand it. So for me, it was knowledge based. But also, we have this beautiful friend that could probably leap a building if she really, really tried. And there's a reason why. It's because her health is a super big priority to her. So that is a very big motivation too. But for me, it was knowledge based. If I'm going to teach this, it's something I need to experience. So
Yeah.
I think as educators, you can definitely understand. Yeah.
And if we're talking about kiddos that have been, at home for almost a year, and what they're choosing to eat and the snacks that they're bringing in, and, watching them bounce off the walls with too much sugar, and you're like, maybe don't.
Yeah.
No, those snacks are not allowed in my classroom. And you can start to share this wisdom with them and go, this is why this is important. Because if you can learn these skills now as a kid, like I wish I would have learned all of this when I was younger. It would have
Mm-hmm.
saved me a ton. And I wish I even would have known when I was raising my son, during the early years of kind of helping him find a diet, because he was raised on pizza and chicken nuggets because I didn't know any better. And now he watches how I eat and he's like, Mom, he goes, I see it. He goes, I see the benefit. He goes, I'm just working all day. He goes, and I haven't figured out. He goes, and quite frankly, I'm 19 and I don't want a meal prep. He
Yeah.
goes, I see a day when I'm going to want to. He goes, it's just not today, Mom.
Yeah. And then there's convenient products out there that can follow those guidelines. There's always spinach in my fridge, which is funny because now and it's not because I can saute it, it's because I can put it into a smoothie. So, or maybe a little bit of both, to be honest. But afterwards, I'm able to incorporate the things that I really, really liked and enjoyed and I felt really great with in an easy way. Like having super green Hulk smoothies for kids, and it's really spinach and kale that you're slipping into their diet. There's always little things that you can do once you kind of figure out the foods that really, really resonate with you.
Yeah, for sure. That's
Mm-hmm.
so powerful. And
And
so,
still having that happiness and that comfort food and all of those things that you really, really like. Lasagna was one of them. You can do whole wheat. With the protein powders, ones that I've actually found by talking to Melissa have been not the wave ones, but the pea protein ones are the ones that she recommends. She really likes Vega, I believe is it Vega? I can actually go look. I have some. For me, I like it's the Earth one. I'll have to go look too, because I go with her and she picks it out for me. But usually the pea protein based protein powders are the ones that have been recommended from us. Sometimes the whey proteins can have effect depending on what your dietary goals are or restrictions. So pea protein ones.
pea protein is great. For me, where I'm at right now is I had to switch away from the pea protein and go to a hemp.
Okay.
I'm not supposed to be having peas or beans or legumes or
it's Great Earth was the one that I like, and the one that she likes is the Vega one. So, but both of them. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Cindy, I see your comment about you're not 19, you don't want meal prep either. That's okay. That's why
okay. There's a lot of things out there.
And you go, okay, walk me through how to meal prep in a way that actually serves my goals. And is that a do it for you? Do you want someone to do it for you? Do you want someone to do it with you? Would that make it more enjoyable? So there's different things that go into, I don't want a meal prep to, okay, well, what would make it easy for you? Mm-hmm. And again, when the time is right, you will figure it out, right? Whether it's the meal prep just maybe for a weekend and you try it and you see what it's like for 1 week. I know some of you saw that I posted a few weeks ago where I actually just sat down on a Saturday and went, okay, I'm going to look at my food sensitivity list from the blood work. I'm going to look at the recipes. I've been doing the Beachbody workouts with my girlfriend Lilia, and so we've got nutrition programs that are on there too. I'm like, okay, well, that's an easy place for me to see more recipes that are kind of a really big complement to what Stacy's taught me. And so how can I bring all of these pieces together and then like figure out a grocery list? And I actually didn't meal prep. I just made sure I had the groceries so that I had the easy protein. I had the easy veggies. I have them. So, and then I started paying attention to how long it actually takes me to cook. It's really not that long because I don't choose recipes that take a long time to cook unless it's something that I want to cook for on the weekend that I then have leftovers for the weekend. I call that meal prep. So,
yeah.
lots of different ways. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Absolutely. I love it, Sylvia. Really just focusing on your healthy results versus breaking out the bat and saying it's a bad habit. It's a bad. I would get curious and just focus on what you do want versus any kind of shame or blame or bat beating over the head of what happened yesterday or even what happens for the remainder of today. Is you'll know when you know.
Yeah. What brings you that joy? Absolutely.
What brings you, you decide, right? No one else is in charge of what brings you joy. What works for me may not work for you, and that's okay. Like you choose. What are your values? What do you want? What's important to you? How do you want to feel? Melissa talks a lot about your identity. Like what identity do you want to have? And so being able to connect and go through whether it's this Epic Gut program that they have starting on March 7th, right? Next Monday.
Yeah, it's next Monday. I need to get my newsletter out.
Have 7 days to figure out
Yeah.
how to join that. Raina's going to drop in the link for you to sign up. If anyone wants to sign up for the Epic Gut, just put a note in there that Stacy and I referred you from this webinar, and let her know. So just choose one thing that you know will bring you joy, because right now you guys have a lot going on, and you get to have comfort food that fuels your inner genius, not that makes you feel like crap after you eat it.
Right.
So,
It's finding that substitute for the comfort, because if Kraft macaroni and cheese is the comfort food, there is a substitute that doesn't have the word Kraft in it. So, like if it's that warm, cheesy kind of goodness, there is a way to make that healthy. And then there was something in the chat too. If your diet is strictly proteins, is it strictly proteins or is it low carb? Like where on a macro scale are you finding yourself? Because there are different options for that. So, like for example, spinach is lower in carbohydrates, so is kale. So there are options for that, as well as upping up with a protein powder. So knowing a little bit more about that contents of your chat would be able to help me guide you in a way. A lot of this particular gut though is this particular program is to reset your gut. So I would recommend staying within those guidelines of this as much as possible, and not worrying about a particular diet that you're currently on, because right now you're just going to take a 3-week break and reset everything. And then you can go back to a higher protein diet if that's what you're on. But you'll find that you'll need a lot of these things because you're not supplementing it with something else. So you'll need like the kale that's in there, or you'll need the quinoa that's in there, or the chicken that's in there, because you're not having the other things during your day. So just a little advice.
and knowing that, for me, realizing that, and this was from the food sensitivity test, that chicken is not good for my belly right now. I'm hoping to repair my gut with the supplements that I'm taking and everything under the advice of my doctor, to get to where I don't have a lot of food sensitivities, where I can have more freedom. And then I think, okay, but do I really want some of these things back in my life? And the answer is probably not. Like I feel better not eating these things, and I feel like I can't believe how amazing my digestive system feels. Like it's like blowing my mind how much better my belly feels throughout the day, no matter what I eat, that I'm actually eating, and it's satisfying not only my taste buds, but it's giving me energy and my belly doesn't hurt. I'm like, 3 wins.
Yeah.
So depending on your protein, obviously make sure that you're choosing a protein that resonates or doesn't resonate with your belly too, and notice.
Yeah. And one thing I've noticed too is that when I've gone back into things that I have eaten previously, and it's my cheat, the way I feel afterwards wasn't a like a cheat for me. It wasn't like a prize for me, because I found that I really didn't feel good afterwards. So that was definitely a way for me to find, how can I supplement Kraft macaroni and cheese, right, for something that is better for me. Whole wheat pasta is awesome. There's also pasta made out of everything nowadays. This is the day to do it. It is made out of beans. It's made out of quinoa. I've been having pasta made out of hearts of palm. Oh, it's like a whole new world. Because you would love it. There's no gluten, there's no grain or anything. It's just shredded hearts of palm, and it's really, really good. So, there's lots of different ways.
I mean, because I went on the elimination of no gluten, no dairy like 8-10 years ago, and there was nothing. Like it was just pain.
No, there's so much nowadays. So much. So hearts of palm with your pesto, you'll love it. And your vegan mozzarella, put that all together. Super easy. You can buy it all at Trader Joe's if that's your place, and you're good. Well, if you're not hungry after talking to me, I've done something wrong.
Exactly. So we have one more question, and then we're going to wrap up for the day because I know y'all have had a really long day with teaching and everything else going on in your world. Cindy has a question about what happens when you know that corn makes you feel yucky. She says gross, but they put it in so many pre-made things. That's really, which is why she's going to have her food allergies determined. But what do you recommend for that?
Well, and I thought of this when we were talking is labels. You need to look at labels. So the nice thing about ready to eat is it's convenient, but you also don't always know what's in there. So reading your labels and finding what you do, and then finding those smaller steps if you have to make your own food. So if you have to make your own food and you don't like to be in the kitchen, there are different levels of commitment for kitchen. You don't have to be in there all day anymore. That's not, I mean, that was what my grandma did, but it isn't what I have to do if I don't want to. You can find things that are already diced and chopped and done for you, even things that are already cooked for you. It's just reading those labels. So you're right. Sugar is another thing that's in a lot of different things. And when you're trying to avoid it, it's hard. So you can just kind of look and read labels and pick the options that fit within the dietary guideline that you've set for yourself. And then maybe even taking one step back. And if you have to start making your own food, and I use the word have, if that's how you're feeling about it, is making it a funner choice by picking items that are already pre-done for you to make your life easier. It's making something fit into your lifestyle already to keep it convenient, but also to help yourself feel a little bit better.
I love it. I love it.
It's the baby steps. Find the baby steps that work for you.
And so, Stacey, if people want to connect with you specifically to have a consult, join the gut cleanse, like whatever it is, how can they get in touch with you?
My website is feedyoursoul.community. And then there's a little button up there that says let's eat. And when you click on it, you can fill out some things and I'll get back to you. Or you can also follow me on my social media channels, which is Feed Your Soul Community, and it's in both Facebook and Instagram. Send me a message. I'm happy to talk to you all day long about food. It's kind of what I do. And as an educator as well, I'm also not going to have to yell at you for not reading chapter 3, right? And asking me a question when the answer is clearly in chapter 3. So I find it enjoyable to talk about it without having to have some sort of teaching element in there. So please come and talk to me. That's why I actually teach little kids how to cook.
I love it.
It's my vacation from my college students.
Other college professors would totally agree with you.
Probably. I know. Let's talk about how to teach baking online. It's been interesting. It's hard.
Right. Oh, it's been an adventure for sure.
It has, but it's also, I've learned a lot of things that I'll continue to use. So
I love it. I love it. So Stacey, if you could give our beautiful community one more nugget of wisdom to walk away with why they should pay attention to the health of their belly, and what would that be?
It just makes you happy. In all, I really do feel like if you feel good inside, it really does affect your whole life. How you interact with your spouse or your children or the kids that you teach, because you already feel good. Your day has already started out great. I think it's super, super important.
I love it. I love it. And Stacey I've tagged her in the Facebook post where we are streaming live. So if you want to just click and connect with her directly there, Raina's dropping the links into the comments, both on Facebook and here in Zoom. So reach out. Stacey, like she said, is always available, always happy to talk food.
Happy to talk food, absolutely.
And help you get on your way with what's right for you. There is no one size fits all. You get to figure this out on your journey. And again, it's fun. Make it fun.
Make it fun. There's no guilt. There's so much out there. There's so much out there to make your life easier. And it's okay. It is absolutely okay to take a part of it. Absolutely. It gives somebody a job.
Stacey, I am so grateful for you. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you for inviting me.
I loved having you here. I hope that this was beneficial for all of you. If you have anything that you need from me anytime, feel free to reach out. I am here for you as a resource. And I just little side note, and I'll do a post about this later. I have 2 more spots available at a redonkulous price if you want to join the Genius School family and help us run Genius camps for kids. We have those happening. It can be an additional source of revenue for you. And it's so freeing to be able to just teach this curriculum that is about fueling your inner genius and teaching it to kiddos 10 to 18. And we do them after school hours. So if you're interested in getting certified to help us run those camps, definitely reach out to me. I have 2 more spots in this certification training coming up at the end of this month. So don't think of it as one more thing on your plate. Think about it as a fun thing on your plate where you still get to inspire and influence and do things that really bring you joy. So wishing you all a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you so much from around the world, all of you that have been here. And again, reach out to Stacey or myself if you have any questions anytime. And we will see you in another couple of weeks for another webinar. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Stacey. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.